Good evening. My name is Randy Fernandez and welcome to City Beat. City Beat is a show designed to inform and educate the residents of the city of Port Huron about the programs and activities that affect their everyday lives. Our topic today is the March of Dimes Jail and Bail. And my guests are the three co-chairs for that event, Sheriff Dan Lane, Dick Phillips, and Don McIntyre. Gentlemen, welcome to City Beat.
Thank you, Randy.
Thank you.
Randy.
Well, the March of Dimes Jail and Bail is a big event coming up here on February 4th, 2006, a Saturday at the Masonic Temple. And in my research, Dick, I'm going to open up with you. You're going to be my guinea pig here for the very first question. Is back in 1938, the cure for polio, the March of Dimes, started over the United States to help cure the polio vaccine. But when did the March of Dimes kind of hit the Port Huron area office, and specifically, when did Jail and Bail, the concept for that event, come around?
Well, Randy, it's coming up they'll celebrate 50 years coming up this February. And it happened 50 years ago, coming up in February. And a fellow named Lee Van Dam, who worked for WTTH, started first Jail and Bail in Port Huron.
So a local radio personality started
it. His idea. Now it's gone all through the whole country and everything, through the United States. People have picked this up. But our chapter in Port Huron is the largest one in the United States. You know, it does Jail and Bail, so that's a plus for us.
So Dick, even though the Port Huron only has a population of 33,000 people, you're telling our viewing audience that we're the largest jail and bail in the United States.
Correct. We raise the most money and have the most activity than any place in the United States.
That kind of puts us on the you know,
map, right?
I knew we were an all-America city, I knew we were a cool city, and now we're the largest jail and bail event in the entire United States. That's incredible. And the 50th anniversary coming up in 2006.
Yep, and that's what we're going to celebrate, and have a big celebration, hopefully.
Well, Sheriff, they call it jail and bail, and again, it has some connotation, I'm sure, with the jail. I know the event used to be held at your jail. Now at the Masonic Temple's kind enough to, I'm sure, to loan you that building for the day. Who was go back since it's been a long time, 50 years? Who was the sheriff at that time when Lee Van Dam decided to get this event up and going?
William Pettengill, as a matter of fact, and he is still around, and he will be present during a lot of the celebrations and at this year's Jail and Bail. I've been involved, Randy, for my entire career, basically, a little over 37 years with the Sheriff's Office. Even as a deputy back in 1969, then Sheriff Maharg had us all involved in those kind of things, because it did take place at the jail. It took place out in the garages at the jail that Dick Phillips so kindly builds every year and is still doing at the Masonic Temple. So there was a lot of things that took place at the jail that required the sheriff to actually ask help from a lot of the deputies and so on down the line.
Well, Don, I'm going to turn to you now. Dick and the sheriff have mentioned this is the largest event. Raises what, somewhere over $200,000 every year? Is that correct, Don?
That's correct, Randy. And we've been consistently hitting that goal. We'd like to still hit that goal, and that's why we're out beating the bushes now for prisoners. And coincidentally, when Dick mentioned Lee Van Dam, Lee retired, and he retired up into the Upper Peninsula. And about 5-6 years ago, we had him come down, and he was stunned at what he created and how far it's gone. Back when he first started it, naturally, he didn't have any TV. He only had one radio station, and it's just progressed tremendously, beyond his wildest imagination.
Well, Dick, Don mentions TV and radio. We don't have a WTTH anymore here. Who lends credence from the media side of this event?
Well, see, we started off with WTTH years ago, and then we had WSMA, remember Marine City? There was a station headed by Dick Somerville, and we did interviews on the radio stations only. That was the only thing we ever did, till the TV stations wanted to get involved, and that really put us on the map when the TV stations, because we went out farther in our county and everything.
So now you have Comcast, I believe, helps you out tremendously?
Yeah, they've been doing that, I think, Don, is it last 7 years, is it?
And even before it was Comcast, it was Huron Cable.
Yeah, right. They changed around, you know, quite a bit. So They always help out, though, and they never say no. So that's one good thing about the television station.
And the one nice thing is it's live. You never know sometimes what's going to happen out there on the stage, but it's totally live.
And Sheriff, what about radio? Do we have a radio
Yeah,
station that still helps us out?
We sure do, Randy. It's WPHM. And before, you know, now it's Radio First because one corporation has since bought all of the radio stations here in our community. But Lee Hansen, when he owned WPHM, and John Wismer, when he owned WHLS, they were both so gracious to jump in and give us a hand with jail and bail. I don't think they ever said no, to tell you the truth. Anytime we needed to do something, we needed to expand and get going in a further direction, both of those two gentlemen, I can't say enough about them. They, in the last 17 years that I've been sheriff, have just literally jumped in with both feet. And then Lee just couldn't do enough for us and set up the whole simulcast. We simulcast both on WPHM, and since then, Radio First, Larry Smith has jumped in as general manager and has taken over. And I don't think we could get across the community without both of them being involved.
You know, we've done a lot of shows the last couple of years, and it seems the theme of every show, the success of every show that we have or event that we talk about, whether it's downtown Port Huron and McMorran, is all the partnerships that it takes. And you've mentioned here with the media, with Comcast, again formerly Huron, with Radio First, WPHM 1380 on your dial. It's everybody come together, and I know we're going to get to more partners at the end, but would you agree with that, Dick, that the partners are what make the event a success that it is?
Yeah, there's so many people you never hear about there. I mean, you ask for their help in that. The guy who runs the camera, he doesn't get any recognition or anything like that, you know. So the people it takes to set up the radios and come down 2 days before and string all the lights for the TV and everything. So it takes a lot of people behind the scenes to put all this on for communication out to the public.
Including the construction workers that are just there, that have always been there, they've always been willing to help. They've never turned us down for any additional help that we may need in terms of constructing the stages, the bars, just moving stuff down there to the Masonic.
You know, Randy, I think the bigger overall picture is all of the volunteers that jump forward with the jail and bail. Wouldn't you guys say so?
Yes.
Oh, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, up into including the prisoners, and I'm assuming that you're going to get there, but I think all of our volunteers with the March of Dimes over the last 50 years has made this happen and put St. Clair County and the city of Port Huron on the map by being the #1 jail and bail across the United States.
Well, let's go with the prisoners, and Don, I'm going to direct this question to you. We've mentioned that it raises over $200,000 consistently. You mentioned that point a few minutes ago. Yes. How do you raise money? Is that through pledges? We keep talking about prisoners. Now, I was a former prisoner. I know about the event. You guys know about the event. But we've got 80,000 homes watching this show, and maybe they've heard of March of Dimes. Everybody's heard of March of Dimes, but maybe they're not familiar with the largest jail and bail in the country. So what is a prisoner, and how does that prisoner generate revenue to help March of Dimes?
Prisoner's a volunteer that is willing to become quote-unquote arrested and put in the sheriff's jail. We end up with
facetiously,
yes,
of course. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
In the jail for the day. We end up with a prisoner questionnaire sheet that the prisoner fills out once he or she decides to become a prisoner. And that sheet is passed on to the March of Dimes staff along with the prosecutor's office, who has gotten involved over the years, and they produce the actual charge that is read when the prisoner is arraigned. There's a judge for a day that shows up. We used to have some district court judges that used to partake in it. Now we've gotten judges for a day that will show up and do some great arraignments right there on TV, live TV, and a bail is assigned to that prisoner. At that point, the prisoner might have some pre-pledges that he's willing to give up. He'll also get on the phones. We've got a huge bank of phones on tables that Dick has set up during the construction phase, and they go out and they start beating the bushes on the phones trying to raise their bail.
So Sheriff, so in other words, I've seen you on TV before. Let's say Dick's the prisoner. You were one of the sheriff deputies that escort him up. We'll put Don in the role of, let's say, the judge, He sets a bail of, let's say, $500, and then it's up to that, quote, volunteered prisoner to try to raise that 500, whether with the pre-pledges or, like Don said, get on the phone and call up friends in the community and say, hey, I'm in jail, pledge to get me in and out. Is that, am I in the right concept?
Oh, yeah, absolutely,
on that?
absolutely.
Okay.
It works basically the same as the court system normally does, where you've got the charges being levied and a judge hearing reading the charges and the guy pleading guilty or not guilty to the charge and ad-libbing a whole lot. And if the bond was set at $500 for McIntyre, it'd go higher.
Okay.
Yeah. The judge has the discretion to rearraign you and post a higher bond. And we've had some, ever since TV got involved, we ended up with, we've got a lot of people that show up in costume. I think one of the high points was it Linda Schweihofer?
Yeah,
Sheriff?
in the llama.
Linda Schweihofer showed up with a llama, and she brought a llama in on live TV.
Dick, I've heard a lot about prisoners, and I've also heard something every year there's, whether it's the, big isn't the right word, but it's like the most wanted, is that what you call it? There's like one celebrity prisoner, so to speak.
Right.
How does that work, and can you name a few of those celebrity prisoners for me?
Well, let's see, we select somebody that we think that would be a good drawing card for our jail and bail, and we've always put those as most wanted, but really nobody knows that person to it. It happens that day.
So that day. So if you were picking me, I wouldn't know. I'm out shopping at Kroger's.
You'd be out shopping at Kroger's, having a
so
coffee in a restaurant, and then we say the sheriff over here to pick them up, and they're startled when he comes in, right, and picks them up. Then we bring them in his car over to the jail, and then we bring them in and arraign them. That happens usually in mid-morning, I think, isn't it, Sheriff?
Yeah, usually around 10 o'clock, Dick.
Yeah, and then that happens that way. And let's see, who can we now?
Well, yeah, the sheriff has got some great stuff.
Dr. McKenzie was the very first most wanted, and he does a terrific job of helping us set it up. We've had Marsh Campbell, Pat Anger, now chair of the County Board of Commissioners, and several others. But these people are also selected to add to not only the ambiance, but what they could bring in the future to the March of Dimes and our jail and bail, Randy.
Yeah, they keep going every year, though. I mean, we don't just use them for 1 year. Every year they're involved all the time. Then they're involved who we want to select for the next person, too, in the years to come.
Right, absolutely.
And that works nice that way.
And he's had some great stories about pulling them right out of restaurants. Because
they have to come with them. You don't really have a choice.
Yeah,
right?
generally the spouse or somebody else is aware that that they've been picked and are always willing to go along with it.
Yeah, it's really been quite humorous at times. We handcuff them right in the restaurant, go up to them. What we do is to prearrange, if we know where the person's going to be, I usually give the establishment a call, talk to the manager, give them an idea what time we're going to be there so it doesn't create a bunch of havoc with their normal customers. And of course we make light of it when we go in, Randy. Because everybody, like you said, everybody around knows what jail and bail is all about. And the first question out of my mouth is, do you know what today is? It's Saturday, February the 4th. Do you know why I'm here? And then they go,
That's it.
why me?
And 5 minutes later, they're still in stun mode when the sheriff walks them in for arraignment.
Then they get down there, and then they get on the phone, and they stay around all day, too, and then it ends, and they usually call for pledges and everything. And they raise quite a bit of money, too.
Well, besides the most wanted gentlemen, you know, you mentioned Linda Schweihofer and the llama. It seems like every year that I'm there, I'm listening on the radio or watching on TV. She's always been one of the, she gets a lot of pledges.
Absolutely.
I want to compliment her on that. But who are some others that have, in your mind, gone above and beyond as far as being a prisoner?
Doc McKenzie, consistently.
Pat Accavetti.
Yes.
Pat Accavetti is a prime example. Out of the middle of nowhere, he shows up the first year he was a prisoner, raised like $25,000. The next year it was like $35,000. And following year was 48,000, something like that,
right.
Dick? There are people out there who just really, really get involved in this. But
Well, you mentioned Pat, Sheriff, and I want our audience to know this isn't the Port Huron jail and bail.
Oh no, it's
This
St.
is
Clair
the
County.
St. Clair
It's
County.
county, yeah.
The
Absolutely.
entire county. So when you grab a Pat Echevetti out of the St. Clair area or whatever like that, and we mentioned Linda Sweihofer again. It's Algonac,
all the way
south,
to,
so to speak, to
all the way to Fisher Road.
okay.
With the Lakeport, the other side of Lakeport.
Yeah, other side of Lakeport.
One of the other fun events that we do have, and to emphasize this being a county-wide event, is just prior to the jail and bail, we have a auction and fundraiser and dinner and dance out in Yale that's very well received out there.
Is that after the first of the year, guys, or is that?
Yes.
is
It's
that-
usually
okay.
this, like the Saturday, actually the Saturday before jail and bail. It'll take
Right.
place out in Yale at the VFW Hall. Jim Cronin has just done remarkable things of bringing that thing to light now. Well, actually it was started by Lydia Whitson, who took it upon herself being involved in the Yale community and also being involved here with the Rape Crisis Center. Brought it back to the city of Yale and got a bunch of volunteers involved. And after her passing, Jimmy Cronin took it over. Now Paul Williams has it out there. They do an absolutely phenomenal job for such a small community. They'll raise between $12,000 and $15,000 at this auction for the March of Dimes jail and bail.
Well, I've heard a lot about I've never been to the one in Yale.
You need to come.
And I think I need a ride home. I've heard about it. I need a ride home if I do it. If I do attend, but we won't go there. Dick, the day of the event. So we've got these prisoners. Don and Dan have mentioned the work that you do ahead of time with the construction work and setting up the phones and everything like that. Let's say I'm a prisoner and I'm there all day. I mean, is there if someone wants to be a prisoner, and I'm sure you're looking for
yes.
new prisoners
Yes.
all the time. We're going to get into that a little bit later too. I mean, is there food for me? Is there? I mean, what? I mean, I'm there for, let's say, 8-10 hours.
Okay.
If our viewing audience hasn't ever seen a live show, take me kind of through the day.
Well, the best way is that I can describe it is that it's at the Masonic Temple, and that's right downtown Port Huron. So there's ample of parking for everybody. Then we offer a breakfast. They can come down at 7 o'clock in the morning. Usually this is open out to the public too. The public can come down and have food with us too, and we never turn anybody away, okay?
And hopefully make a pledge.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely that. That's what we need you for.
Mm-hmm.
So we have breakfast for everybody, and the prisoners, they check in and they go down and have breakfast. Then they come upstairs and then they get arraigned. They wait in line to get arraigned. Then when they get arraigned, there's so much activity going on that day that you're not lost or anything. Everybody's friendly and everything, and there's food all day long. Our auxiliary does the food in there. And the Masonic Temple does food for us in the basement with donations from different people, you know, to set the food up. I think last year Port Huron Hospital donated a lot of food for our main course, like at noontime, where people can come in and eat and everything. Usually you come in and make a pledge, you go down and have something to eat. Pop, there's snacks and everything like that. And that's all done with volunteers. They set everything up. Our lady auxiliary handles a lot of that.
What about, Don, is there entertainment that day? Because again, it's on TV.
Yes, there's live entertainment starting right after the arraignments, and we've had marching bands, we've had the violin group, we've had some great singers, some folk singers, a couple of different bands will show up.
Yeah.
And some of the great local talent that most people just are not aware of.
Well, I know in the past I've seen, you mentioned local talent, I see Denny Dwyer and his group.
Yes.
Didn't you have one year Carolyn Golding?
The violin player.
A young,
Yes.
young violin
nice.
lady. And again, these people, I'm assuming you're not paying them. They're coming, again,
No.
giving back to the community, giving back to March of Dimes.
Yes, and that's what it's all about.
And another thing we have, excuse me, Sheriff, is I have a baby race too, mid-afternoon, where everybody can bring like a 2-year-old?
Yeah.
And then we put them on
yeah.
blankets, then they crawl to see who wins that. So it's activity for those people, and their parents comes down to do that. That works really nice, I think.
I think as I've seen the March of Dimes evolve, at least over the last 10 years, it seems like now, Don, there's also schools are getting involved. It's younger people. It's freshmen, sophomores in high school. Explain how that's evolved through the different schools.
Randy, I believe it was Jim Goldsworthy that started off with the school concept and school teams, and we've got teams from grade schools, middle schools, and high schools, all participating. It's sort of a mass arraignment when they all come in, and then they get right to the phones.
I think one of our schools last year, Randy, if one of our middle schools raised close to $12,000.
Yes.
Real close to $12,000, Randy.
And again, any school in St. Clair County, I mean,
Yeah.
really,
Yes.
really anyone can either help as a volunteer and help Dick set up, or you know, you have to have people, again, manning those phones all day, taking the pledges that are called in. But I'm sure, again, first and foremost is the more prisoners that you get, and again, the more prisoners as they're spelled out, you don't want them all from Port Huron, you want them from Algonac and Marine City,
Right.
St. Clair and Lakeport and Yale and Memphis and K-Pac and everybody else, and there's 32 communities, and
Right.
I've only named off about 10. But you need that mix, and you need people, really with the 50th anniversary this year, to make it, you know, the best.
That's right. We gotta
put
make
us
it
on
the
the
best.
map, so to speak. You need those prisoners to call Jerry Keller at the March of Dimes office, or
Yes.
call Jody at the March of Dimes office, and volunteer to be a prisoner, correct?
Absolutely.
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 Yes. Yes.
You know, I mean, this community has stepped forward so often, Randy, and I know you know this because you've been around forever also. You know, we've seen some tough times in the last few months with the hurricane reliefs and the Salvation Armies and the Red Crosses and so on. This is also so important, and we need to strive that to this community, that we're here and we do a good job, and we have brought a lot of money back to the community in neonatal care, and now we're working on the prematurity issues. There's a lot of stuff that stays right in this community with the March of Dimes, and I think it's very, very important that the community knows that.
So again, with this over $200,000 that we normally raise, most, if not all, the money goes to buy equipment over, again, in St. Clair County. We're not shipping it out to California or Hawaii or Alaska.
No, it's being used for research. It's also being used locally for hospitals that can apply for grants, and there's a tremendous amount of grant giving that's done through the March of Dimes to local institutions.
So we encourage our viewing audience again to call 982-0177 and get Jerry or Jody on the phone and say, hey,
Gail.
I saw the show, I want to volunteer, how can I be a prisoner?
Yeah, that's it, absolutely. 982-0177.
We can't stress
Then
that
I want to
enough.
mention one other thing. We have a corporate sponsor too, is Port Huron Building Supply, that got involved about 7 years ago, Mike Roth, and he's really good about being with the March of Dimes. He enjoys coming down there that day and hanging around, but he's one of our big corporate sponsors.
He's a major contributor of all of the construction material that's used there during the construction and production of that stage.
And that's why I keep hammering home earlier, partnerships, partnerships, partnerships. You know, we're not that large of a county, but it just seems like, Sheriff, you mentioned, whether it's United Way or Old Newsboys or Red Cross or Hurricane Katrina or March of Dimes, and the economy's not doing as well as we would hope, but everybody through the great partnerships, you know, Atchison Ventures, their foundation, everybody, just we just seem to, when the cause is there, we just seem to be there to help, and I commend our entire county as well as yourself. I want to get back, Sheriff, to the event. I've heard this word, jailbreak. What is a jailbreak that day?
We don't use that word, no. No, jailbreak is a pre-set up. It's been very gracious from the Blue Water Transit Authority to give us a trolley for the day. And
so Jim Wilson's helping you out.
Oh yeah,
also.
another partner. And several of the prisoners get on there, and they go and hit a local, several local establishments, watering holes as they like to be called, and they go in there and they hit the customers and the clientele to try and raise money for their bail, and actually do quite well in these jailbreaks. But that's what it's all about.
Now again, we've mentioned Jerry Keller, the executive director of the March of Dimes, and Jody, his assistant. It isn't like we're talking about where, you know, we bring this money in and, oh my God, we've got a 30-person, Jerry's got a 30-person staff, and all the money's going for administration. It's again, it's a small office in the, I'll call it the Fog Cutter building downtown, correct?
Correct, that's
Yes.
right.
Yep.
Second floor.
Yep.
They can go up there anytime and talk to either Jerry or Jody or Gail. And that's it. they do the work. They put everything together. There is not a huge overhead with the March of Dimes chapter in the Thumb area.
And even though we've been doing this for a number of years, the need is always there.
The need will always be there until the problem, the crisis with premature babies is eliminated.
And I think when I watch the show, I think that's what gets me to make a pledge is, you know, even though there's the music and there's the food and whether I'm there in person or watching it, when I see a husband or a wife get on there and introduce, you know, Randy Jr., who they gave him, you know, less than a year to live, and now he's 12, you know, and he's just like every other kid out there. I mean, that touches me personally and wants me to pick up the phone and make that pledge.
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. You know, my wife and I are blessed. We have 2 healthy daughters. I have 3 healthy granddaughters. But I've seen the devastation of birth defects and prematurity. And listening to some of the stories and talking to some of the people, I don't think you can help but want to jump forward and give a hand to try and end this devastation to other families.
When you end up talking to people that have had problems with the birth process and had kids that in their view aren't exactly perfect, what amazed me the most is the stoic, the matter-of-fact feeling that they give to you about the fact that, well, he or she has had to go undergo 12 to 15 operations, and now they're doing fine. And it's really a tribute to the folks there that have been able to keep a good head on their shoulders too.
And we have our poster child come down that day too and tell some stories, you know, why are they there and why did the March of Dimes choose them that day. And it's real touching when you hear the stories come out of there.
Do we get any doctors that day, or name some doctors that have been helpful?
Well, I think Dr. Wilhelm is a prime example. He has jumped forward with both feet. He and his staff have come forward and have worked very, very close with the March of Dimes. Especially this chapter has helped with both of the neonatal units at our hospitals, and in the grant writing process has just been absolutely phenomenal what he's done in this community for the March of Dimes and with the March of Dimes.
We mentioned earlier that, again, this is the largest jail and bail in the United States. Are there jails and bails in the other 49 states
yes.
as well? Someone told me on the way in that we raise more than the one they have in Nevada, and Nevada is a week-long event where we are just basically a 8, 10, 12-hour event. Is that
yes,
true?
We're the largest. We're recognized nationally as being the largest single event fundraiser for March of Dimes, for jail and bail. And when Jerry and Jim Goldsworthy and some other people travel to national conventions or training conventions for March of Dimes, we're recognized nationally. We've got a regular production and a book that we give other March of Dimes organizations to show them how to put on a jail and bail event correctly. And the most important thing is the engagement of the community, engagement of community leaders, like the sheriff, like the prosecutor, like judges.
You know, Randy, I was in San Antonio, Texas in 2000. I was president of the Michigan Sheriff's Association at the time, and I was down there for a conference. And there was 5 other sheriffs who came up to me when they found out where I was from and said, "Can you give me a call? I need to know how you do this." And they were from all over the United States. It was absolutely amazing to me that when I said I'm the sheriff in St. Clair County, and they said, "Where's St. Clair County?" and I said, "Port Huron, Michigan," they're going, "Oh my gosh, we need to talk to you about your jail and bail." I mean, that's how widespread this is, Randy.
Again, in our show, we've got a minute left or so, guys. Is there any other, I mean, you've mentioned so many names. I know I play in the March of Dimes golf outing in the summertime up at Lakeview Hills, and I know you bring people in from Florida, that people fly back. Tim Kerber.
Yeah, Tim Kerber, yeah.
I mean, there's a guy, again, teaches down, lives down in Florida, and yet he's serving up hot dogs with my neighbor Craig Delkey. you know, during that day. And it's not a weekend; it's a weekday day event. But you bring people like that, you know, back. My old friend from Mercy Hospital comes back to be one of your judges. So
Yeah.
and he's
I think
now
Tim's committed to
North
coming back.
Dakota.
Yes.
It's just amazing that people keep coming back, whether it's the golf outing or jail and bail, and of course you have your annual walk.
Walk America.
Walk America.
Blue Jeans for Babies, Reading Champions. It all goes on annually every year.
Well, again, with this event, with your help and the corporate sponsors such as Mike Loth, Emporium Building Supply, and the Jim Goldsworthys, and everybody else that we've mentioned, and I know we've left off many people here. But again, this event, we're all working together, you know, again, under the theme of saving babies together.
Absolutely.
And again, it's that togetherness, that partnership of everyone working together. We can help those small infants overcome and make a better life, again, for all of us to live a better life in our beautiful county of St. Clair County. And again, I appreciate, gentlemen, your time here today on City Beat.
You're very welcome.
Randy, thanks for
Randy.
having us.
Thank you.
That's our show for today. We'll see you next week on another edition of City Beat.